Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us this week on the Trade Exchange Week Ahead webinar. Thank you for everyone joining us via our Zoom and all the others that are streaming. We appreciate you joining us. I know it's a Sunday morning, as always, but just want to get this up and running. And as always, it is recorded. Just a quick recap of last week. So what an end to the week we had following that CPI data. Thursday had one of its biggest rallies in years following that CPI report, which was a tad cooler than expected. We expected a print of 7.9%, and we came in at 7.7%. Even though inflation is still hitting levels not seen since the 1980s, markets ended on a strong move, with the NASDAQ up over 8% on the week. S&P ended up around 6%, and the Dow ended up around 4%. So what have we been saying for weeks and weeks? We're focusing a lot of this action lately on the US dollar and the yield markets. Clearly, the US dollar weakness that we've seen at the end of the week and that weakness we saw on the yield markets, even though they weren't open on Friday, we did see that correlate into a huge move in markets overall. Not even just in markets, we've seen big moves in commodities as well to end the week. That aspect is something that we've been watching for a very long time. Weeks and weeks, we constantly mention, watch the US dollar, watch the yield markets as it correlates to the markets, and clearly we saw that happen this week. Other than that, members, there's really not much that happened throughout the week. We did have that, on Friday, we did have Veterans Day, which the bond markets were closed. So we'll see the correlation to that action as it opens up on Monday to see how the yield markets are acting following Friday's move. One thing we want to discuss, which we hardly ever talk about, is the crypto markets. We usually do not focus on crypto markets, as we believe that is an industry that reminds us of the wild, wild west. Who knows what happens in crypto? Clearly, we saw that mindset right in front of our eyes this week with the FTX headlines, which did cause a ripple in US markets as well. So that is why we're discussing it a little bit today. And we'll continue to mention it in the news desk as more and more clarifications happen regarding this crypto catastrophe over last week. Our thoughts on that is, as we always say, members, do your due diligence. Make sure you are comfortable in any investment that you are in. And if you ever have that gut feeling that something is just not right, or you feel that you don't get all the information that you require, step away. There's thousands of other instruments of investment you can put your money into. At the end of the day, all that matters is that you sleep well and not have to worry about situations that happened last week in the crypto markets. What are we watching for the week? We're watching a few things. The VIX, the volatility index, trending to a key support level that we and many believe could possibly signal in markets a turn or a possible move back to the downside following the recent strength that we've been seeing. We're watching that 2022 level, which it currently resides at, to see if that level is supportive, and we do see any type of move off that level. Economic-wise, PPI on Tuesday, retail sales on Wednesday, and the housing market data throughout the week. So we believe that we'll get a better indication in regards to the consumer. And another interesting aspect of inflation, the housing market. One other thing that we have on agenda, which is quite weird to us as of late, is the amount of Fed speakers that have been scheduled. This week, we have over 14 Fed speakers scheduled. That's not even counting independent interviews or independent conference attendance. So we're seeing a lot of Fed speakers in the past few weeks, past few months, which we've looked back, it is not a normal aspect in regards to Fed commentary and scheduled appearances compared to a few years back. So we'll see how and what they say in regards to the interpretation of the CPI data from last week. We'll see what their thought process is, if it is a slight dovish tilt from recent commentary, or if it continues to be all about we will do whatever we can, and our focus is making sure to bring down inflation at no cost. So we'll see what happens. You know, we have a large amount this week. We'll go over that. And the last thing, earnings season basically not ending, but slowly ending in the next few weeks. This week we do have Cisco, Home Depot, Lowe's, Nvidia, Target, and Walmart. We'll get a better indication on the consumer, as well as a final look in a way at a few tech bellwethers in regards to Cisco and Nvidia. So that's what we're looking for during the week. Let's take a peek at the week ahead on a more clear view. Upcoming U.S. and world events, as always, your top earnings that we mentioned. When it comes to throughout the week, what we're looking at Monday, we have Fed speakers, Brainerd and Williams, the Japan GDP, hedge funds filing their 13F filings and getting an indication in regards to what they're looking at, what they've been buying, what they've been selling. Members, keep in mind, this is not a specific indicator that we follow, since this is an older view in regards to their activity in the past quarters. Excuse me. So that's not something that we focus on. We'll get a quick pop here and then a few, but nothing that we believe is market moving. Tuesday, we have Fed speak Cook, Harker, and Barr. We have the US PPI, the G20 summit, your EZ, Eurozone GDP flash, and your IEA monthly oil market report. Wednesday, Fed speak Williams, Barr, Waller. We have retail sales and the UK CPI. Thursday, Fed speak Bostic, Bullard, Bowman, Mester, Kashkari. We got the housing market and the Eurozone and Japan CPI. Friday, Fed speak Bostic, Collins, double witching, option expiration, and existing home sales. Company events for the week, as always, you have your top shareholder analyst calls. If anyone ever has a question or comment, you can always reach out to us via email or ask the desk. Conferences for the week, pretty busy week this week on conferences. As always, members, same thing with the analyst and annual meetings. Reach out to us if you have any questions or if any specific companies are featured in these conferences. U.S. economic calendar for the week. Monday, going to be a pretty dead day. We do have Fed speakers on the agenda. Look at the red across the board on Fed speak yet again, continuous throughout the week. Monday, economic wise, nothing on the agenda. We do have Fed speak Lyle Brainerd and John Williams. Tuesday, we got your PPI data that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. And then we have Lisa Cook, Patrick Harker, and Michael Barr, Fed speak. Wednesday, as always, every week, your MBA mortgage applications. You have your retail sales, import and export prices, and industrial production. Those are not that, those are interesting ones as well to be watching, especially during this inflation talk. Fed speak, we got John Williams, Michael Barr, got the housing market index, and we have Christopher Waller in the afternoon, Fed speak. Thursday, Fed speak, yet again, Bostic, Bullard, Bowman, Mester, Kashkari. Kashkari is scheduled again in the afternoon. So we have a slew on Thursday on the Fed speak side. Economic data, housing starts and permits. One key play on inflation. You have your jobless claims like every week, your Philly Fed manufacturing index, and your nat gas report. Friday, more home numbers, existing home sales. We also got your leading indicators and Fed speak, Raphael Bostic. Your international economic calendar. Now we have your earnings. Monday looks to be the busiest of the week. Not many big names. These are all a lot of small cap names that are reporting on Monday. We just have Tyson TSN Monday pre-market we'll be watching. Tuesday, the numbers, as you can see, the list continues to shrink. as we do wind down earnings season. Tuesday, you got Home Depot and Walmart that we'll be watching very closely. Wednesday as well, you have Lowe's, Target, and TJX. And aftermarket, you got Cisco and NVIDIA. So we do have a pretty busy week name-wise, but not a busy week in the total amount of companies reporting. Fear and Greed Index, greed continues to jump from last week. We've been seeing the moves 58, 63. Now we're at 66 on the greed side, following that move at the end of the week. Sector performance versus the S&P. Materials had a big move last week, up 8%. Info tech, 7%. Real estate, 6%. Financials, 5%. The list goes on and on, members. All green across the board to end the week. TradeXchange indice comparison to the COVID move. We are seeing an uptick. You know, it seems like we bottom, we hit these levels and tested these levels. Now we're bouncing off those levels again. We'll see if that continues going into this week. Your CPI chart on a 20-year basis, members. We're at levels not seen in over 20 years. As we've been saying, you know, we're hitting levels since the 80s. So this goes on and on. The chart just got too big for us to post the whole thing. But as you can see, we are at levels not seen in over 20 years. And the mindset behind that is we're in a market with a lot of traders that haven't seen the CPI at these levels. Many traders, might I say. So it's interesting to see how this will correlate in future action in this market. Probabilities. Right now, the mindset is at an 80% of a 50 basis point hike at the December meeting. Year-to-date returns, members. We did see a little weakness in energy. Nat gas, a downtick. Heating oil, a downtick. Gasoline, a downtick. Crude oil, a downtick. So we did see a little drop in energies for the week. But other than that, members, not much action change-wise on this list. Your AAII Investor Sentiment Survey, an interesting view. All right, this is going into your CPI because you see it is on the week ending midweeks. So the bullish mindset downtick going into the CPI report. So it's interesting to see what this number will be next week because we all know what happened on Thursday. And the mindset was that bearish, almost 15% pop on your bearish view. So we believe a lot of people were caught on the sidelines in regards to this move on Thursday. That's why we saw such a big move. You know, many people were wondering with this, why the move, why this, why that. Look at this. You know, this is an interesting survey. This is going back years and years as well. This survey. So, you know, it's interesting to see the mindset going into that CPI report was negative. Sector outlook weekly, year to date. Energy continues to be the only one on board that is green, still up 69% year to date. We did see large drops though. Materials down 6%, gaining 6%. But look at these drops from last week. So we did see a big move in other areas from last week. IPO lockup expirations this week. On Monday, we have 3. Expected IPO openings for the week. We got 3 on the agenda. FDA calendar looks pretty busy. I'll be adding it as always to the our morning mashup and the updates. But these are some interesting dates coming up for the week on the FDA calendar side. We're going to jump to the charts real quick. And as always, members, at the end, we'll go over some questions. As always, we do have a few questions that are always asked throughout the week. But we'll be jumping into charts for this week. Gold. We added an uptrend this week, as you can see here. What can we say but trend lines? Look at this trend line break, members. This trend line was a break below 1700. Once that trend line was broken, straight shot up to 1774. Right about that 1800 resistance. We didn't draw it in because we're still waiting for a closer move to it. But we're watching the 1800 resistance and this uptrend for a possible small give back following that move in gold. SPYs, no changes to the chart, members. This is a chart from, I know it's a lot of lines, but these lines to us are important. That downtrend break from a few weeks back, showed the move. We do have an uptrend growing here, but we are waiting to see if this number is tested or broken above the 400. So we are watching that 400 resistance. We did hit 399.35 on Friday. So we are watching that resistance point for any indication of a next move. Either we're going to test it without the volume. Volume is key. We're going to test it, and we'll clarify the volume part more in a few other charts. But if we test it without the volume, we could see a comeback to the support levels here. Or if we have that volume break, we don't really have much members till those previous highs after the June lows on the SPYs. Looking at your comp NASDAQ composite, we added a resistance level here at 11,500. We've been watching this range here for quite some time, members. So we are watching to see this range was basically broken in a way. So we're watching to see if we have continuation going into this week on your NASDAQ. SPY weekly, another look in regards to trend lines and on a longer term view. This is from 2020, this upside move. Once that broke, we did see that drop. So we are watching trend lines. As you can see, these breaks, we are seeing moves on these breaks on the upside and downside moves. We're on the SPY, we're right at that resistance on a weekly basis, members. So it's key to watch this because we want to see if this breaks 400 and we want to see if it breaks it with volume. Triple Qs on a weekly as well. Trend lines, we watch trend line broken on the triple Qs. So we are watching the support level here. And if this level of support is broken, members, there's really not much on the downside that we're watching except for like around 225. So we are watching this move on the triple Qs. This is a weekly look, so it is a little more advanced. We're looking at some MACD action in the bottom, testing a possible cross. One thing that we watch on the MACD is if we see a double cross to the downside, could correlate into a pretty strong move lower. So we are watching this MACD very closely. IWM weeklies as well. IDM has been holding, members, in the 160 to 190 range for quite some time. So we are watching this very closely on your IWMs moving forward. 10-year yields as well on a monthly, and we have a 10-year yield on a weekly. No changes to the chart. Once that uptrend was broken, members, we do see that downtake in your 10-year yield. Across the board, we did have that. Keep in mind, this was no change from last week. So we did have that downtrend being right here, tested it even last week, and we watched that weakness correlate into market strength. Diamonds on a daily, in that pattern still that we've been seeing for quite some time. Diamonds is one of the strongest in the area in regards to the S&P and NASDAQ, but we are seeing a lot of moving average positives. So it's interesting to see this resistance level is tested. If we break through it, Tim, we get to 350s, or if we break through it and break this uptrend here pattern to the downside. IWMs as well, no changes to the chart, members. Look how it just tested this long-term downtrend perfectly. So we're watching this level, watching and waiting for volume on your IWMs. If that level is broken and the 190 level is tested and broken on volume, we could test those 200 levels that we have on this chart. HYG weekly as well, still on a pattern that we've been watching. Moving averages continue to drop though, so we're watching these on the HYGs. S&P 500 weekly, testing the moving averages as we see here. This is the 100-day, so we are watching this very closely. Very closely. If we have an upside break or test and a drop lower, no changes to the chart. The downtrend from October of last year is still in play, as you can see, which was tested 3 times on your way down. So we're watching this very closely on your SPY. VIX, what can you say about this VIX? It reminds us of this pattern from last time. Even this pattern at this level, straight shot down for a few weeks and then a skyrocket pop back up to 35. So we're watching this 20 level, members. This level, in our opinion, is very key on your VIX. If it tests it, moves higher, we could see a downtick in market. So we're watching that one very closely. Crude oil, no changes to the chart. Still trading in that range. Watching that above 90 level resistance, and see if we have a test again of the previous move or a final move back up to the $100 on crude oil. US dollar, we added a support level at the 106s. Last week, we didn't mention a clear level of 110s is on watch. That number has been a key for us for a while. Once that 110 was broken, straight shot down to 106, spot 41. So we are watching a possible 106 test support and see that any dictated move to the upside or downside following that. Bitcoin, no changes to the chart. We did extend. Now we extended the downtrend because we're hitting new lows. But we've been mentioning volume for a clear directional move on Bitcoin. And we've been talking about Bitcoin, how it's just been non-existent prior to last week. What happens when Bitcoin comes in with volume, and what happens when it comes back into the headlines? The volatility comes back, and we are below that 20,000, 18,000 level. We are going to be watching this closely. As we mentioned, we really don't focus on crypto because we just believe it's an industry that is that needs to be regulated, but it is what it is. So we are watching it right now to see if there's any move on any directional on Bitcoin. SMH Weekly, what a move on the SMH. Sammy's a beast of a move off of this downtrend break that we've been talking about. Look at this upside move, broke the downside. The downside move broke back up to support resistance and support levels. Watching the SMH very closely. It's going to be an interesting week following last week. We are going to be watching the Fed speak very closely. Economic data very closely. We're waiting, very excited to see what Walmart comes out with, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot. So it is going to be a busy week when it comes to that move that ended last week. So we're going to open up a few questions. Anybody has any questions? As always, we'll go through our emails. A few of the questions, as always, is our thought process for this week. Members, who would have thought what happened last week happened last week? You had a CPI data that's still at 7.7%, hitting 40-plus year highs continuing. Is it the top? Has inflation peaked? I don't know. People discussed about inflation peaking in April. They talked it again in late August, September. Now it's back to again, has we peaked? Have we peaked? All I know is every time we peaked, the markets did come back. I believe in our thought process when it comes to inflation, it's funny to say we're thinking the same way as the Fed. We'd like to see continuous moves in regards to a drop in inflation, a drop in CPI, to get an idea of the possibility that inflation has peaked. The move, we believe, as we saw in that AAII investment sentiment survey, we believe a lot of people were in the sidelines waiting for that number. And when that number came out the way it did, I think money just chased the market. Shorts covered, chased the markets, and we saw such a huge move on Thursday, followed on Friday, especially with the fact that the bond markets were closed. You know, and not many speakers, you really didn't have anything to fight the negative. And that mindset, you continue the trend. That's how it's been. So in our thought process, we're following those economic data points. We're listening to the Fed. We're going into the holiday season. You know, you got the Santa Claus rally possibilities. So it'll be interesting to see how the markets react following last week, especially with people back in the office following Friday's, bond market close. So it'll be interesting to see how the markets react. But our thought process, listen to the Fed, get an idea. Have they changed their tone? Have the mindset shifted a little bit? And then watch housing. You got a lot of housing data coming up this week, which is, in our opinion, another key factor of inflation. Watch those. get an idea about earnings on regards to Walmart, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot on the consumer. And that's what we believe is what's on play for the week. If anyone has any other questions, shoot us a message. I know we had a few questions regarding our community chat. We'll go over that real quick as well, and then we'll end it. But if anyone else has any questions, just shoot it in the chat box. Members, we did send out our updated email regarding our community chat and Squawk. Our Squawks, we're very excited about the Squawk. It's going to be faster, smoother, cleaner, more, it's going to add more features, which we could add in regards to a more detailed approach when it comes to our Squawk. We'll be releasing that in December. And as always, members, if anyone is open for a quick beta test, shoot us an email. We'll really appreciate to get the feedback in regards to our Squawk. And in regards to our community rooms, we are very excited to open that up as well this quarter. It's going to be a Discord room. It's going to be open to all our members. We're going to have some great moderators. You're going to have your TradeXchange Discord bot in there. So in case you just want to have that room open, you'll get all the information from the TradeXchange as well in that Discord room. It's going to be open to all our members. Share your thoughts, ideas, views on markets. We're going to have some great people in there. Zozo will be back. So we're going to have a great group of traders in that room that will provide their thoughts and feedback. And we're very excited to get that up and running, hopefully sooner rather than later. Members, thank you all for joining us this week. Enjoy, be safe. Have a great rest of the weekend. Make sure to join us first thing tomorrow for your pre-market prep. Thank you. TradeXchange out.